Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. Nancy Stanley, physical therapist, life coach, and health coach. But today I'm a cook in the kitchen, and I am just really enjoying this because you're going to love it. My husband's going to love it because it is a delicious recipe. I got it from Bobby Flay, but I've tweaked it a little bit because Bobby uses some ingredients that I don't use, but it is so good, and I've made it so many times. Everybody, a lot of people like meatloaf. Some people don't like it at all. I didn't like the traditional meatloaf, but when I started making this meatloaf, I love meatloaf. Hey, Marcia, thanks for joining me. Okay, so I'm here in my kitchen, and I made one ahead of time just because I wanted you to see it. So there it is right there. You see how thin it is? And what that helps to do is cook faster. So I think I cooked this meatloaf a total of about 22 minutes. I checked it with the meat thermometer. I always want to do that. I put the meat thermometer in the middle, and if it comes up to over 160, then we're in good shape. Okay, so I got my friends watching tonight, Judy and Marcia. Okay, so I want to tell you what's in it. I'm not going to tell you the amount of the ingredients because you're going to have to check your email. I am going to put it in the email, but I just, because I portion it out a little bit differently, but it will be in the email, so you'll get it. All right, so what I have here, here's what you put in it. All right, so I've got about 2 pounds of ground beef. I typically use grass-fed ground beef just because some of the nutrients, my phone's tipping over, some of the nutrients that you find in grass-fed you don't find in beef that is caged up or stalled up and fed grain, So that's the difference. All right, so also over here in my Cuisinart, what I've got here, I'm going to just let me just take this out and show you what this is. So it is a paste. I put all this stuff together. So what I've got in here is a zucchini, a half of a red, green, and yellow bell pepper. It's got some, a half a cup of Parmesan cheese, half a cup of almond flour. Instead of the panko crumbs, I use almond flour. Of course, salt and pepper. You can put fresh thyme and fresh parsley. I didn't have any of that, so I put some Italian seasoning in here, and I put some chopped chive is what I have. All right, so I am going to pull my little disc out of the middle here and just get that off. And then I'm just going to put all this in here. So this is like a paste. It's got an egg. It's got, that's all. And then some ketchup goes in here. All right, so, and then I'm going to make a sauce to go over it that's going to be over it while it's cooking. So, okay, the other thing I forgot, I'm not sure if you can see this here. There it is right there. Is 5 garlic cloves. This is all the stuff from 5 garlic cloves. Watch this. This is one of my favorite features about my kitchen. I can just pull that off and scrape it right into the trash can. Yeah. So that's one of the things I love about my kitchen. This little gadget, I just smashed up about 7 garlic cloves just right here on my countertop. You just use this little thing, and it's just really the trick. I really just love it. So so get you one of these. If you ever see one of these, just grab you one. But what I can do now is I can take all of that and just scrape it right into my trash can. Because, garlic can be really smelly, so I'm going to have to take that out in a minute. Okay, let me let my camera back up so I'm not cutting off the top of my head. So I'm just going to take my hands and I'm just going to start mixing, okay? I do need to put a little bit more salt in this because I added some new meat to that. So there we go. And I'm just going to mix it up with my hands just like that. I don't want to smash it real tight because I don't want it to be, I want it to be kind of loose, so that it's juicy and not dry. If you're making hamburger meat and you're smashing it up real, working it a lot with your hands and making it real tight, then that's not gonna work out, because it's gonna be really dry. Okay, so let me grab paper towel, and I'm gonna grab my pan. All right, so on this pan I've got parchment paper, not wax paper, parchment paper. Parchment paper doesn't have a right and wrong side. Wax paper has a right and wrong side. So here's what I do. I take up about a pound each of this, and I just spread it out. And then I'm going to make 3 of these, I think. And then I just put it, try to make it kind of a loaf, about like that. There we go. See there? And then I'm going to get 2 more. So here we go. This is going to be so delicious. My husband loves meatloaf. I love meatloaf. And along with some mashed cauliflower. And this is a perfect meal. All right, there we go. There's that one. And here's the last one. Right here. All right, so you've got zucchini. You've got red, yellow, and green pepper in here. You've got egg. You've got almond flour. You've got some spices. You've got some ketchup, and there we go. Now, one thing I do with my meatloaf before I put it in the oven is I just take my finger and I just put some little holes in it. That just helps it to cook evenly, and not too much. You can't, try to make them even so they will cook evenly. All right, there we go. All right, so now I'm gonna mix up a sauce to go on here. So I've got a half a cup of ketchup, 1/4 of a cup of balsamic vinegar, and wouldn't you know, I've got Terra Dolce Farms balsamic vinegar, and I'm gonna put 1/4 of a cup. I already have it in here, so I'm gonna do that. And then I'm just gonna stir it around. You can whisk it, or I just stir it around with this little mop that I've got, okay? And the recipe calls for about 1/4 of a teaspoon of crushed red pepper, and I had already put that in there, so that's all I'm gonna put in there. And then I'm just gonna mop this over with this, and then it's ready for the oven. Now, I have done it before where I cooked it a little bit before I mopped it, but tonight I'm just gonna mop it and then cook it. Yep. And these are about, like I said, about the same depth. All right, so here we go. You can tell I'm not the neatest cook in the world, but I am a cook. I do love to cook, and I love to share. I cooked a meal. I cooked for 25 people this afternoon. Actually, I cooked it yesterday, and I delivered it this afternoon. It was for one of the youth group at the church, so I'm sure they're enjoying it, because it was a Mexican stack kind of thing. I don't want that to go away. I'm going to get all of that out of there. You know why? Because nowadays, if you leave a tablespoon, that's the quarter's worth. Yeah. Okay. Let me get my paper towel and wipe my hands. All right. I'm going to stick this in the oven, and it's going to go for about 20 minutes. But I've got it on convection bake, and I've got it on 400. They cook theirs. Bobby Flay cooks his on 425, but if I do convection, it cooks quicker, and I don't want it to be dry, so I'm just sticking it right in here, and that's going to be delicious. Now, I'm going to turn this camera around a little bit more, because I want to talk to you about your protein. Let me get my hands cleaned off here. Okay. All right, let me let this down a little, and then flip it up. Yeah, like that. Okay, now, I think we're a little bit more. I could take it back, and you can see it all. All right, so what we're talking about today is your macros, and you've heard macro. Well, the macros are your proteins, your fat, and your carbs. And most recently, I have done a lot of research about protein, because what I'm finding in the research is that the older we get, the more protein we need. And also, the older we get, the more our body is losing protein, all right? And that's why we need more. So I was listening to Dr. Attia yesterday, Peter Attia, and Dr. Saladino, I think that's his name, and they were just talking about how much protein we need. And this is all data-driven, all right? It's not even epidemiological studies, which is just studying populations. This is specific case studies, double-blind studies of people and how much protein their body synthesizes. So the rule of thumb, the best rule of thumb, and for you to think about is your ideal body weight. Let's just say your ideal body weight. So you may weigh 200, but your ideal body weight is 180. All right, so your ideal, I don't have that written up there, but it should say ideal body weight in grams. Your ideal body weight, you want to have the same amount in proteins. So if I weigh 130, then I need to be getting as close to 130 grams of protein a day as I can. Now you're probably thinking, well, how much is that? Well, if I ate my portion size, which is about as big as my hand, plus a little bit of this meatloaf, I would be getting about 60 grams. And that's about as much as my body can take in one sitting. The recommended amount is 40 to 50 grams per meal. Now, you might be saying, well, if I'm trying to cut back on calories, how do I do that? Well, you just got to eat more protein, less carbs, get your carbs down to 20 or less if you're trying to lose weight. If you're just wanting to maintain your weight, 50, and then about once a week, bump it up to about 100. Just have a flex day where you get a few more healthy carbs. Now, I'm not talking about sugars and cakes and cookies. I'm talking about maybe sweet potatoes or more green beans, or more salad or something, to get your carbs up, or even like not really potatoes because they really keep your insulin up, but rutabagas or turnip roots or fruit even. Yeah, that's a good way to get your carbs up, but be careful with that because you can get them way too high. All right, so here, this is your cue. If 150 is your ideal body weight, then you need to be getting around 130 to 150 grams of protein a day. All right, and that's a lot, but you got to do it. So this morning I fasted. I did put 2 scoops of protein in my coffee, and so that was about 26 grams of carbs that I got in my coffee this morning. And then I ate about 1:30, and I had a ham and cheese roll up. I had almost a cup of cottage cheese with some aronia berries in it. They're supposed to be the most healthy kind of berry, and with a little Ceylon cinnamon on it. And then I had some meatloaf. So I got about 115 protein grams today, and that's how much I need. Now, in addition to your intake of protein, you also need to exercise. And when I say exercise, I don't mean just walking. And you're thinking, oh my gosh, here she goes. She's going to tell me I got to go to the gym. No, you don't have to go to the gym, but you do need to be doing some kind of strength training, whether it's some kind of calisthenics. There are hundreds of online videos. People in my group, I offer an exercise group to them, a 20-minute exercise that's strengthening. It's not just aerobics. That's not what we need. Although we need some of that, we need to get our VO2 max up, but we really need to do strength training, especially after 50. And why? Because our muscle starts to lose muscle bulk. You start to lose muscle bulk after 50. And I'm just going to tell you, when you hit 70, it plummets. And that's why you see people barely walking. I mean, you see them struggling to walk. You can tell how old they are by the way they're walking. You don't want to lose that strength. But if you're not doing strength training, I go every morning to a class just to keep my strength back. And then I walk for an hour in the afternoon up and down hills, okay? And why am I doing that? Because I'm 67. In 10 more years, I'll be 77. In 5 more years, I'll be in my 70s. And I know that my muscle strength is going to go down if I'm not keeping it up. And how am I keeping it up? I'm doing strength training. So frailty is what most elderly people die from, okay? Some die from cancer, some die from other things, but a lot die from frailty. And what is that? It's just when you lose your strength, and then they start they don't feel like eating, so they eat chicken noodle soup, or they eat crackers, or they eat oatmeal, or they eat cereal, things that have nothing near the amount of protein that they need, and or yogurt with sugar in it, that's not really even whole fat yogurt, because you need the fats too. I didn't mention the fats, and the reason I didn't is because if you're eating fatty meat, then you're getting your enough fat from that, especially if you're using real butter. Never use parquet, that's not even food. And whole fat dairy and your healthy oil. So that's your avocado oil, your coconut oil, and your, what's the other one? Olive oil. Yeah, how could I forget that? That's what my brother grows and produces, squeezes, whatever. Okay, so, I'm just really trying to impress upon you the need for protein in your diet. And you're seeing it. You're going to begin to see it more and more and more. And just look at our population, how after 70, they really start to decline and with their strength. And the reason is they're not doing strength training, and they're not getting enough protein. So I would say 90% of the people I know do not get enough protein, because I know how hard I work to get that protein, and I see what people are eating, like they're eating Chick-fil-A, which, by the way, has extremely toxic oils in it. Those are rancid oils. It actually stays in your body for weeks, not just days, but weeks. The research shows you'd be better off smoking cigarettes than eating those French fries that are cooked in rancid oil. So I just want you to start thinking about, what are you putting into your body? Is it fuel or is it poison? And when you think about that, 93% of Americans are not metabolically flexible. That means they're not healthy. And I know I want to be healthy. I want to fuel my body so it runs like a well-oiled machine, and it does. Like today, I've been going all day, and I feel great, even now. I'm about to wash up these dishes. I'm about to get this. Let me set my timer a little again. There we go. Okay. And, yeah, so tell me, how much protein do you get a day? If you just think about it. Hey Kendra, I see your message about a protein drink that you recommend. I know some people are using that Fairlife protein. It's got 26 grams of protein in it. I read the label on that. One of my newest clients asked me about drinking that, and it's got maltodextrin in it, which is sugar. It's got other things in it that are sugar. I don't think it's an optimal choice. I use a protein, well, heck, let me just get it. It's right here. Okay, I use Health Code. This is the one I use. This is the vanilla flavor, and it's got 27 grams of protein in 2 scoops. But that's about 6 tablespoons. They're big scoops. I measured them. So, and it does have carbs, so if you're trying to fast, it's definitely going to break your fast. But you could split it up. So like I do a scoop in the morning, and then I might do one later in the afternoon. Thank you, Kendra, for joining me. Okay, so if you've got family and friends, especially aging parents, or maybe you yourself are aging, you really need to listen to this and start thinking about, how can I get more protein? So here's where you can get. You can get 6 grams from eggs. I got 15 grams in that ham that I used to make the ham and cheese roll up today. You can get about 5 grams from a slice of cheese. You can get about 15 grams from a half a cup of cottage cheese. you can get, let me just get this. Okay, here we go. This is your favorite sardines. I love sardines. All right, so I'm going to be getting 24 grams in this little can. So I could just eat a can of sardines. And sometimes I do that. If I come in, I don't have any food, I'll just open up a can of sardines and eat them. And it's good protein, it's good fat. Make sure if you're buying sardines that you're getting them. These are in extra virgin olive oil. Either that or get them in avocado oil, but don't get them in toxic oils like soy oil. Do not use soy oil. Do not use canola oil. Canola is not even a plant. It is a manufactured oil. It's not even real, okay? Most countries don't even allow it, but in our country we use it in everything. You're getting it every time you eat out, and you get even stir-fry vegetables that are supposed to be healthy. Ask them to do it in butter if they will. If they won't, then find another restaurant, because you don't want that in your body. You just really don't. Let's see, where else can we get protein from? Some nuts, peanuts have some protein, but most peanuts are molded, so I'm not a big fan of encouraging peanuts. Let's see, trying to think. Yeah, cheeses, meats, of course, salmon, mackerel, all of those. So fish, I did a video recently with fish. So fish, in one fillet of grouper, you get about 33 grams of protein. So that's a really good one. All right, so sometimes I'll cook 3 fillets, and I'll eat 1.5 for one meal and 1.5 for the other. And I like to cut it up into bites, like fish bites, and do it in the air fryer. I did a recipe with that recently, and it's so quick and easy. I mean, in 5 minutes, I've got my lunch, as long as I've got it thawed out. So I buy that at, it's a Sam's product, but I get it at Walmart, and they're wild caught. They have mahi and grouper and redfish and snapper and salmon, so just a lot of good things. Okay, so does anybody else have any questions while you're on here? Just ask me some questions. I'd love to answer your questions about other things, but the best place to get your protein is going to be from your meat, and especially your fatty meats, because that fat and protein together is what's really going to help you be able to build muscle, build bone. You can't build much bone with a vegetarian diet. I'm just going to tell you. It's hard, really hard to get your protein with a vegetarian diet. Okay, let me check this and see if it's done. You see over here on my stove, I've got some mushrooms. And you think, well, what are you doing with mushrooms? Let's see what this looks like. Ooh, this looks like this might be done. No, it's not done. Got to go a little bit more. I could tell by looking at it, so I'm going to put my timer on for 5 more minutes. Oops. Bake. Okay, 400. Okay, all right, I'm going to flip you back around here. So the mushrooms there, when I went to my fridge, I realized I had some mushrooms kind of stuck back in the back that I wasn't going to use tonight, and they needed to be used. So I went ahead, cut them up, washed them good, sliced them up, and I went ahead and cooked them, because tomorrow I'm going to be doing a pork tenderloin. I want to have some mushrooms in it, but I don't want them. I don't want to get them out tomorrow and they're gone bad, and I've lost $3, which is how much they cost. So, I love to think ahead and try to preserve food and not waste food. Okay, so let me see if I can see any other questions. Is there a protein drink? Okay, so I saw that. Hey, Roseanne, good to see you. Let's see who else might be on. Hey, Deborah, good to see you. Hey, Deb. Hey, Colette. Hey, Vanessa, Lana, Martha, Vicky. Okay, Marcia, a lot of you. Thank you for joining me. Okay, So I'm going to be doing more videos now that I finally got my kitchen together. Still working on the bathroom, but I love my kitchen. I still don't have my griddle. They're telling me it's going to be June. So here's where the griddle is going. Right here behind me. Right there in that spot is a 30-inch griddle that I know I'm going to enjoy if I ever get it. But yeah, so thank y'all for joining me. Have a great evening, and write in the comments below if you're watching the replay, or if you want the recipe. If you want the recipe now, I got to have your email, because I'm going to put this recipe in an email, probably going out tomorrow, the next day. May even do it tonight, but I want you to have this recipe, because it's really, it's not so easy. You do have to squish up all that, the zucchini and the peppers. I just do them in the food. It says to chop them fine, but I just do it in the food processor. I put the egg over in there. I just put it all in there, and it makes that paste, and then I mix that with the meat. You saw it, and it's really good. Okay, thanks for joining me, and y'all have a good evening and a good week.